Welcome back to This and That. We are joined right now by Walker County Sheriff Steve Wilson, Catoosa County, Georgia Sheriff Gary Sisk, and Hamilton County, Tennessee Sheriff Mr. Jim Hammond, all joining us here. We got Sheriff Wilson, Sheriff Sisk, and Sheriff Hammond closest to me here to talk all about the fact you guys will be extremely busy over the next couple of days, unfortunately, because of drinking and driving, but also just the fact that this time of the year, safety on the roads is y'all's top priority. Sheriff Hammond, I want to start with you here first, because we've heard sort of the term zero tolerance.
Correct.
And that goes for all of our sheriff's departments. What does that mean?
Well, zero tolerance means just exactly what you think. We should not tolerate anyone who will get behind the wheel of an automobile. And you're talking about a several thousand-pound weapon there, and when you're impaired. And I think the real key here is the word impaired. A lot of people say drunk. Well, what's drunk? There's standards we go by, but impaired simply means for each individual there's a level at which they should not be drinking and driving.
Now, Sheriff Sisk, we know this, but it continues to happen. Is there a reason why we have to continue to deal with this?
You know, it's hard to understand and hard to explain. Definitely. There are some that just feel maybe they're not quite as impaired. It is a known fact that if you drink on a regular basis, then you're not going to feel as impaired as maybe someone who doesn't drink on a regular basis. So you have to be mindful of that and be careful of that. And two, you have to be mindful of medications you may be taking. That may increase your impairment. And like Sheriff Hammond said, it's not just the alcohol that you may have consumed, but it could be a combination of your medications you're taking.
Now, Sheriff Wilson, I know laws are sometimes a little bit different in Tennessee compared to Georgia, but really, on even your first offense, I mean, the penalties that a person receives are pretty severe, and they need to be. You know, what are maybe some of those penalties, even on the first offense?
Well, the monetary penalties are great when you take in the fact that most of the time you're going to have to hire an attorney. Your insurance rate is going to increase. There's going to be a $1,000 to $2,000 fine associated with that. Driver improvement clinics, DUI schools, it can go into the thousands of dollars. And certainly, you know, you can see jail time. In Georgia, you could face jail time, mandatory jail time for even that first offense.
Right. Now, Sheriff Hammond, we had a couple of viewers send in a couple of questions here, and one of the first questions is, you know, we're all going to maybe go out and have a great time on New Year's Eve, and almost always in every place they're going to celebrate with that big one glass of champagne. You know, the blood alcohol level is low, but, you know, is one glass too much, or is it enough, or what kind of answer would you give to that?
Well, you know, a little bit flippant said, but I think one glass of water would be fine. But anything that's got alcohol in it is going to react differently depending on your weight, your sex, your medicines you're taking. So we'll never say one glass, two glass. We'll just say there's a point at which you should not be drinking and driving.
Now, Sheriff Sisk, lots of times we may plan to not go out and get drunk or drink too much, and maybe not have that alternative plan of someone that's going to come pick us up. Now, if we find ourselves at a location that we cannot drive, but we don't have any plans, what advice do we have here? Is it our responsibility as an individual? Is it the location's responsibility to find us a ride? What kind of advice would you give?
Well, I think as an individual, we're adults. You're an adult. If you're drinking alcohol, it's your responsibility to find your transportation. Now, it would be the establishment's responsibility, if they see that you may be starting to consume too much, to possibly cut you off and say, well, you need to stop or slow down. Okay. But as far as your ride home, it's your responsibility. All
right, got two real quick questions here. Sheriff Wilson, how do we spot a drunk driver, and what do we need to do if we expect one or sense that there might be a driver that's impaired?
Most of the time, an impaired driver, depending on the degree, is pretty easy to spot, even for the layperson. And what we would encourage the motorists to do, if they see someone that they think is impaired, if they're following that person or if they make a wrong turn, the easiest thing is to call 911 on your cell. Everyone has a cell phone. Call 911. In Georgia, you can hit star GSP. All of those things will get dispatched and broadcast to law enforcement out there. Right. And try to keep a visual on the person, but do not get too close.
Sure.
Do not try to take the law into your own hands.
And better be the safe and sorry to report it as well here. And Sheriff Hammond, I know we're running out of time here, but one real quick question. Tennessee or in Hamilton County, we do sometimes indicate the locations of roadblocks. Yes, sometimes that's kind of on the fence if that's a good thing or a bad thing. In your mind, why do we report them?
We do it as a courtesy, but I can tell you we're in a lot of locations, and we may not necessarily be in the one that may be announced. So the best thing to do is just don't get yourself in a situation where you have to be stopped by the officers.
All right, folks. Well, we want to encourage everyone to play it safe out there. Also, other simple reminders, too, to make sure you do slow down and check your tires, too. Make sure you do not have bald tires, especially this time of the year with the wet roads and possibly winter conditions, too. All three sheriffs, we certainly appreciate you guys coming and taking time to talk with us today.
Thank you, brother.